Hey, what is happening? It is Thursday again, and you are here at the live stream of consciousness. It is December 15th. It was a chilly one today here in New York, but it was sunny out, and I'm super excited uh, because tonight is going to be awesome. That's why. But you're here at the live stream of consciousness. If you're joining me for the first time, this is just a cool place to have a cool conversation with some cool people and share a collective moment. That's what I do here. I'm intending to do some good stuff, and I'm intending you to be here with me, and we're going to get into it. So this week was a little chaotic. I was supposed to originally have Brian Orlando on the show. He does a very cool broadcast called Rock and Soul Tarot. He's a DJ on the Shark here on Long Island, and he does tarot readings with a deck of cards that's made with rock and roll icons. So it's very cool. We're going to have him on in February, so we'll learn more about him. But as a replacement, our old friend Jesse Blaze was in town. And I said, Jesse, why don't you come back on the live stream of consciousness? He said he would. And so welcome to the live stream, Jesse Blaze. What is happening, my friend?
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Oh, it's so good to hear your voice here on the live stream. Wow, that gave me chills right there. That was awesome. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I really, I am getting to a fabulous, fabulous place that I was scared would never arrive. And it's interesting, you know, when things happen and you react a certain way, and you start to become conscious of your reaction, and you start to try to transform, the beginning of that process is like you just feel like a crazy person. You're like, why can't I do what I decided I want to do? Why can't I react the way I'd like to react instead of my body viscerally reacting to things? And it's really funny, you know, I've just this very quiet calm and confidence and peace has been filling me up from the center, and it's amazing. It's like I have this wise man in the center of me, and he's just unmoved by everything. Even when I'm freaking out, and I'm like, my body's freaking out, and I'm getting mad because I'm having like an anxiety attack because I got too much stress and there's too many things going on. I'm always taking on too much, and my body's like, and this guy inside me, he's just kind of like, it's all right, you're all good. Like, and
Awesome, dude.
it's amazing. It was not here. It was not here yesterday. It was here. It's been here for like a few weeks, and it's quiet. Like I didn't even notice it until a couple weeks ago. And I really feel like I'm just kind of finally clicking into exactly who I've been trying to mold myself into for a long time.
That's so great to hear, man.
It's really nice. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, man. Well, good things are happening for you, and I guess I just wanna talk about going with the flow and the live stream of consciousness for a minute, because as I was saying, you know, I was supposed to have a guest on that went through, and I wasn't gonna panic. You know what I mean? It's like the live stream of consciousness is my happy place, right? So I was like, oh, what can I do? And I was like, oh, Jesse's in town. And I knew we had talked about you coming back on. So the funny thing
Been
is,
trying to do it for a while.
you're like, no problem, I'll come on. And then today you call me and you're like, oh shit, my daughter has her concert and I got to go to the concert. So you were so awesome, and you like move things around, and you came up with a substitute guest who I want to bring on in just a minute, because I know he's actually got a limited time here. But like,
yes, my guitar player Robbie
yeah,
Locke,
we're gonna have a nice,
becoming one of my best friends and favorite
awesome.
collaborators.
We're gonna have a good D.I.L.F episode tonight. But I was just thinking about, like, wow, this is so cool. Exactly that guy you're talking about, who's just living in the middle of you, and he's like, it's all good, man. That's who lives in me, and that's, I think, you know, I'm hoping that maybe that rubbed off on you a little bit, and it's like that's where you're at. I know great things are happening.
Well, Absolutely. I mean, I think you and I have been in that place for a very long time. I've come to it's a different place, this stillness. It's very masculine, for lack of a better word. It's very empowered, and it's sort of not quick to react. And that's not the case with me. I've always been kind of quick to react. When it comes to things that I've done professionally, I learned a long time ago, almost a decade now, I sort of clicked into me that I did my best work when I was going with the flow, and that the things that worked least well for me was when I was trying to muscle it and force things into place, cut to fit and bang into place. And that was the problem. There wasn't the problem to relax and be into it. And I saw on stage, this was one of the main ways that I learned, something would go wrong on stage. And if you started going like, oh, sorry, there's technical difficulties. And like, if you got all freaked out about it, well, then the audience was just as uncomfortable as you were. But if you just sort of smiled, shrugged your shoulders, and went, "Oh, well, that happened," and and rolled with the punches, the audience was like, "Oh, great," and they felt good.
Still going.
And yeah, and I was like, something like this too. You're setting a stage. You're setting we used to talk about this, creating space to have the type of conversation that we want to have, to be able to create the kind of energy for the audience that you want. You can do that when you ebb and flow, but when you panic and you start trying to like, that's when disaster. It's always disaster.
It's energy, man. It's all about the energy, right?
Yeah,
we always talk about that.
But there's this cool thing that just to, if we kick it old school like we used to do, is give us one to grow on as we do an episode of the live stream of consciousness. There's just this amazing thing that I've learned that's just it's just sort of recent, and it's very powerful. I think that the people who care and the people who are empathetic, we end up taking passivity to the extreme. And we're like, well, we're nonviolent and we're peaceful people, and then we also want that nonviolence and that peacefulness to be in all of our words and all of our energy and all of our. I'm here to tell you that's not the answer. You see, the right and the left are two polarized sides of the thing, and in the middle, when you cross over, that's the sweet spot. That's the money. And those two things, here's violence, here's peace. We want the middle. We want a violent mind knowing peace. We want a man who is powerful, a woman who is empowered. We know our power. We know what we can do with it. We're ready to fight. We're ready to defend ourselves if necessary.
Right.
We're not meek all the time, because water, and I saw this, I've been thinking and saying this for forever. I saw Angela posted on a post that I made earlier today, kind of talking about something like this, longtime listener, Angela, shout out to Angela. And she was like, be like water, my friend. Cause I've told her for a very long time, hey, you can't control these people that are upset you, whatever, you gotta flow like water. And I didn't have a full perspective of what that really meant. And it really means, there's no good, there's no evil. There's this balance in the middle, which is this, hey, one. We're all one.
You just really made, I just got a visual from what you said, and it makes so much sense, right? You want to be in the middle, right? The middle is that sweet spot. But without this side and this side, there is no middle.
There's no middle unless you have this in control and in power, and this in control and in power. Exactly.
It's so basic and brilliant. And
exactly. The middle is created by the two sides, and it's honoring those two sides. And I mean, that's really this crazy state that we're in society, where the two sides, they both think they're right, and they're being vindictive to each other. Because they're like, when will you just get over it and get onto my side with Jesus? When will you get over it and get onto my side with the gays and the trans? Come on. It's like, yeah.
Wait, maybe
No,
they're on the same side. We don't even know.
well, that's the thing. We are. It's all the same side. It's an illusion that there are two sides, and somewhere in the middle of those two things, they touch. The tip of violence and the tip of passivity, they touch just barely, and that's where you're supposed to be. And it's really an amazing thing too, because it helped me to make peace with what my father taught me, which, my brother Cody, who's very spiritual, very wise, earlier in our journey, he had a little bit of what I would now call a slightly wrong perspective on things. But at the time, I agreed with him very much that my father had taught us like a toxic masculinity. And the funny thing about that is the term toxic masculinity is a complete misnomer. It's literally designed to turn masculinity into something that it isn't, to redefine the word masculinity. Objectifying a woman is not masculine. That's not masculine. Everything that they talk about as toxic masculine isn't actually masculine. It's just something that weak men do. Something that weak men do. Masculinity is strength. It's power. It's knowing. It's confidence. It's letting some time and space go. It's not responding in epic passion. Like that's when you're really strong. You don't react to everything. You just observe, and you give yourself a moment to have that intuitive response, and then you respond intuitively as opposed to responding from your gut viscerally and freaking out. So that idea of this masculine thing. My father, he used hatred to become a rock star. There were people who were basically dismissing Twisted Sister, and every single one of them, that guy from, what is it, Billy Madison, with Steve Buscemi, he has like a list of all the people he's got to get revenge on, and he crosses Happy, or is Happy Gilmore, maybe he crosses Happy off the list. All right, Happy Gilmore. He saves him at the end of the movie. That was my dad. He had a list of the people he was going to defeat. I'm going to show these people. And then recently, I had some people that I was feeling like, man, they're going to rue the day. And I was thinking about it. My first initial reaction was like, oh, no, that's not the thing. You want to be peaceful. And then I went, no. I'm like, I don't feel this in my heart. I don't really hate them. I know that I'm one with them. I know that they're just misguided. At the same time, this aggravates me, and it's motivating. It motivates me to go, hey, that's aggravating. I'd like to change that scenario for myself, and I'm going to use the energy of their stupidity to drive me forward. And that's okay. Like peace with that is cool. That, I was talking to Cody about this, and he was like, well, I don't believe in violence. And I said, Cody, it's not about violence. It's about the idea of violence. It's about intellectually,
Jesse, welcome
being
back,
able
Jesse.
to understand what it entails to be strong and to not be scared when you're in a room filled with people who are bigger than you, or in a situation that's new.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a shirt for you that says, "It's not about the thing, it's the idea of the thing."
It's always about the idea.
It's so good to have you back, and this is the energy of the live stream of consciousness. But I got to interrupt you because
let's get Robbie on here.
We know what you think of consciousness, and we got a limited time with our guest. So I do want to welcome, as you said, is quickly becoming your best friend and your guitar player for the new band D.I.L.F. We're going to talk about. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Robbie Lochner.
Hey, Robbie, looking handsome, boy.
What's up, Robbie? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm going to introduce you as the current guitar player for the band D.I.L.F. Oh, what's up, Parker? You are the current guitar player for D.I.L.F, but you also played over the last bunch of years with Jack Russell's Great White. I guess you still do, right?
I do.
Yeah. So that's pretty awesome.
Robbie basically runs that show.
Another rock. So yeah, I was looking up your Wikipedia, and you've been the engineer and the producer and the tour manager, and pretty impressive stuff. I think you've got to have a pretty good head.
I just found out that Robbie used to play with Fight, which is an awesome 90s metal band. And there was a bunch of Fight songs that I really liked. I'm really picky when it comes to my heavy metal, and I really loved Fight. And so I actually hadn't heard that. He and I were doing another interview promoting Countdown to Christmas, our new Christmas song for D.I.L.F USA. And he mentioned Fight, and I was like, what? I don't even know.
Uh,
So I got to go read Robbie's bio because I'm sure I'm
Yeah,
missing
man,
some
that's
things.
yeah, Robbie, definitely impressive. You are like the kind of guy on the rock scene who's like you're a rocker through and through, but you're not like you're not a troublemaker, and you don't seem troubled as a person. You seem really well put together and responsible, and like I'm so glad that you hooked up with Jesse and that you guys are doing music because
He's
man,
such a balanced soul and so
it's
humble and so
so
talented
great.
and so well liked and respected. It really, Robbie, you're proving your awesomeness all the time. I
Totally.
can't wait for people to hear our next single. But
And he's awesome on stage. I was watching a bunch of videos. Awesome. I love energetic guitar players who are jumping around and running from one side of the stage to the other. It's
like to have
he
fun.
inspired the band because he was jumping around like a flying monkey, and that was what I wanted to call the band originally until we came up with D.I.L.F USA, and I'm like, can we be the Flying Monkeys?
I know Jesse loves flying monkeys. I do have to take a moment here before we create some space for you, Robbie,
Okay.
and give you a little bit of the initiation because you are on the live stream of consciousness.
Okay.
And that is just getting from you your perspective of what exactly that means. What is consciousness?
Well, consciousness, several different things. I look at universal consciousness and I look at race consciousness. So race consciousness being the buzz of what the prevailing thought is. Typically, it's I hate to use the word lower because I don't believe in lower and higher, but it's typically a lower thought. You can't do this, or this is negative, and these kind of things. So the universal consciousness is what you want to tap into. So you go above the race consciousness, you can achieve your dreams and achieve the not necessarily, I'll use the word success in being happy and joyous. Success really is that. It's not the amount of money you have. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of money who are very unhappy. So to me, I realized that doesn't create happiness. Yeah, he had success in this area and earned cash. So what? Is he successful? No. Somebody who doesn't have any money but has a loving family, has great relationships, has just happiness and joy in their life is successful. So a lot of times it takes that going into the universal consciousness, which is one thought, one prevailing thought, no up, no down, no high, no low, whatever. I mean, no hot, no cold. I mean, it's just one that's how I think of it anyhow. It's just there's a thought, and it's always trying to tap into that in any situation. Like Jesse was saying, you get into a situation where all these people in this room and you're freaked out. It's just staying true to who you are and going, just let it happen. But it's interesting because when he talks about his dad being driven like that, that actually is the same, not the same as that, of course, but similar for me. What drove me in my guitar playing was seeing this kid play. And I swear it changed my life. He was a year younger than me, had been playing like 8 years, and I'd been playing a year. And I went to this party, and my friend had a guitar, and I put on the guitar, and I was playing, and he was playing, and he had his drummer, and he broke a string. And he was at least kind enough to sit there and wait till the end of the song. But as soon as the song was over, he goes, "Since I'm so much better than you are, how about you sit down and watch me play?" And I just went, wow. And I gave him the guitar, and I went, wow. And that next day, I was relentless. I didn't not touch that. I went after that guitar every day. I'm going to, this guy is my first one on the hit list. And it was,
Wow.
That's the right response, man. That proves your inner fortitude. That's how you respond to that.
He actually said those words.
His exact words are,
Wow.
"Since I am so much better than you are, why don't you sit down and watch me play?" And I was stunned. I was stunned.
So let me ask you a question.
My life.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how grateful are you that he said that to you now?
Well, yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is that I reconnected with this guy, must have been a year later, a little over a year later. And I don't even know how in those days I find people, but I found him. A friend was like, "If he's so good, get him in your band." I thought, oh, good. And I called him up. And when I talked to him, he goes, "Yeah, I don't know who you are." And he goes, "I don't remember you, but I'll jam with anybody. And I've got a band anyhow." And I thought, okay, bring him over and jam. Well, we started playing. And after about a couple songs, he sat down there and just watched me play like, whoa, I passed him up in a year, which shows you he really wasn't any good. But he called me like the next day and he goes, "I thought about it. I want to be in your band." And I was like, "F you."
What a great story.
That is
That's
exactly what I'm talking about, Robbie. You nailed it. That's the best
Yeah.
example. And can I say, because I love your definition of consciousness, and essentially what you just described to me, if I'm right, I'm sort of interpreting a little bit what you said. What you were kind of saying is that there is a sort of a universal self-consciousness, you know, worry about these things. And then there's this higher consciousness, which is the idea of the thing, you know, just more of a, but I got to go north. I got to learn I got to get better. Right. And like, that is a really, really interesting way of looking at it for me. And the one other thing that I want to say, and I think maybe at some point in the live stream, I talked about this, but I had a very similar experience. I am a songwriter. You know, that's what I consider myself. I never viewed myself as a singer. You know, singing was the thing that helped me to communicate my ideas, the words that I wanted to say, and the melodies. Melodies mattered to me, words mattered to me. But singing, like Bob, like American Idol, like everybody can sing. You know, I was kind of like, it doesn't really matter if I can sing. It matters if I have something to share. But one day, I went to this party at John Rich from Big and Rich's house. It was the finale of Gone Country, which was a reality show that my father had done with Meatloaf and Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray and a whole bunch of other people. And I got invited to this party along with my mom and my dad that he was having on the third floor of his home in Nashville. And they would do these concerts where they would have all these people who were on their label. To say that the night of music that I witnessed was humbling is such an understatement. Every single person who walked on that stage, I felt like they punched me in the gut. There was this country singer who had written an original and he was doing a cover, and he was telling a story. And the story that he told in these two songs made me cry. They were beautiful, the words, and like it showed me that I should be using my storytelling that I use for writing comic books to write songs. And I wasn't approaching songs like that. And it like literally, like I was like, oh my God, what he is doing is so much better than anything I've ever done. There was this girl, this skinny little blonde girl. Well, she was kind of tall, and she went on stage and she sang like Aretha Franklin. Not like, I don't want to compare her to Aretha Franklin, but what you think of when you think of an Aretha, like somebody who's just, oh my God, this person can literally sing anything. She did things with her voice I had never heard before. And I hate people who do that. I hate people who destroy the melody. And she was changing the melody with these inflections and these little runs and these things she was doing. And for the first time, I heard somebody do that, and I was just impressed and floored and ashamed that I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't do anything like that. I didn't even try to, because I'd never seen anybody do it and have it be any good. I saw Gretchen Wilson get on the stage with my dad to do Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. This bitch killed it. Just like testosterone and energy. And, you know, my dad always kills Zeppelin. Like, you know, I'm always impressed by him. But it was the other people. And then this dude Sinister got up, who's a great producer. He was up with Cowboy Troy, the rapping cowboy. They did a 10-minute montage to basically the beat to Very Superstitious, and they did Ball with the Ball, Walk This Way, Tricky, like every major rock, rap, hip-hop song you'd ever heard, all in a row. It was the most exciting, fun, hey, I know the words, I like that. It was just arranged to perfection. It was so fun. It was so engaging. And it was just them playing with songs that they liked that everybody knew. I left this place a changed person. And there was definitely
inspired.
Well, but there were moments within it where I was like, I need to crawl up into a ball and die, because, oh my God, holy crap, I suck. Who are these people? Where am I right now? What is going on? But I used it to better myself, and I am here to tell you, holy shit, I now can do everything those people can do. You know, with the exception of that girl who was singing, but I can still do what she did, just not quite as high. She was singing really, really high. You know, I can't sing like a dolphin.
You know what, Jesse? You don't need to do what they do, because you do what you do. I always tell you, you are like you are so amazingly talented in so many ways.
Well,
singing, songwriting, just being comic books, everything. And I'm just so glad to see you kind of embracing it and really just going with it and letting it all come out.
Well,
I
that's
think,
that masculine thing. It's the fuck you, I'm here, and like deal with it. Like hopefully the people who like me, and there's probably going to be people who I rub the wrong way, but I can't control that. And
No.
and it always hurts. There's so many major celebrities who are like, don't read the comments, to this day. And you're like, you're saying don't read the comments? Does
Oh,
that mean
yeah.
I'm never gonna get over getting nasty comments? It
No.
sucks when you have
That's right.
people who are
That's right.
misunderstanding you and being a jerk to you. But
There'll always
Doesn't
be
matter.
haters. There'll
Yeah.
always be haters. And the
Yeah.
bigger you are, the more haters you have. But it's just that proportionately, there's a lot more people who love you. And the small, it'll never end.
The
Yeah.
bottom
And
line
it's
is
that
you're
idea
still
of
here to
not
be you.
caring.
You're
Yeah.
still here to be you, though, and regardless, you know what I mean. And so, who cares what those other people say? I want to give Robbie a little bit more space because I know he's got a limited time. I'm curious about Robbie's spiritual beliefs, and when I say that, I mean like, as far as like higher power, whether it be Jesus or whether it be source energy. What do you call your higher power?
I usually call it like power, presence, beauty, glory, love. I mean, I think the word just kind of tries to describe what it is. It's this one power, this one presence, this one universal love. And kind of touching on what Jesse was saying about the race consciousness is what I call it, is an example of that is there's an old story that I'd heard a long time ago that really struck with me when a guy walks up to a guy going into the village and he goes, how is this village here? And he goes, how are the people here? And the guy tells him, well, how are the people where you came from? He goes, oh, they're mean and they're nasty and they're, rude. And he goes, well, the people here are mean, nasty, and rude. And then another guy comes up and goes, how are the people here? He goes, oh man, and then the same thing. How are the people where you came from? Oh, they're loving and kind and great. He goes, oh, they're loving, kind, and great. It's all what you bring into it. But that race consciousness, a lot of times, is the thought that these people, and most of the people are thinking. That's why I believe in the trying to rise above it. Like I know for myself, when I get in crowds, it gets hard because there's so much energy going around. It starts kind of tripping me out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I start having to just kind of like, okay, just kind of get into your thing and just don't worry about it, kind of rise above that and just let that power come out. So my belief is definitely in the one power presence, and it could be, you could call it God, you could call it Jesus, you can call it love, you can call it whatever you want it to be, you can call it the universe. It's
And I call it all of those things. That's awesome. You are exactly the live stream of consciousness kind of person that I wanted to bring on the show. So I'm so happy.
I
Thank
knew
you,
Robbie
Jesse.
would be so great
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
And
totally.
we've talked about what you're talking about, Robbie, often when we used to do the show together. And the collective consciousness, is what we used to call the collection of all the minds is creating an idea of the average thought, the average feeling about a thing, and
Yeah.
that is ever kind of flowing and changing, but it's constantly affecting and pressuring and changing how people behave.
And you have to rise above it to get past it. You got to not let it affect you, because it will affect you.
Yeah,
It'll make
outside the box. Right.
And the other thing about it is also consciousness, being aware of what it is you're bringing to that equation. What am I putting into that energy?
That's right.
Just like you said, what are the people like where you came from? You know what I mean? That's what you give is what you get, and that's exactly the philosophies that we talk about here. So I'm so happy to hear that. And now you've been officially indoctrinated, and the responsibilities of talking about spirituality are done, so we can get into a little bit of a D.I.L.F party. I'm so excited. I saw Wizard of Oz is here, Brian, saying fantastic to see the band together.
Hey, Wizard of Oz. Hey, Brian, love you, man.
So I know personally, because I did a little bit of digging, and I actually know from Jesse from when he took off to the West Coast and everything that happened, but it was about a year ago, right, that you guys were doing a show. Let's hear that story about how you guys got together. What happened there? What caused that show, which is on YouTube, by the way, in its entirety.
It was actually 2 shows. So what happened is we had 2 shows booked at the Canyon Club, and Jack, he had an emergency surgery he had to have, and we were like, oh man, we were not supposed to tell anybody, and what are we going to do? So we just, Jack got sick. He wasn't sick, he had an emergency surgery, and we wanted to play. We're like, we should still play. Let's call up some friends to sing. So I didn't know Jesse, but Dan did, and Dan called him up and told me, "Hey,
Dan's our
Jesse."
bass player.
Oh yeah. And then Dan called me and said, "Yeah," he told me about him. Said that he would want to sing, and then we had 6 songs. So actually, one of his and 5 covers, I think. And I called up a couple friends of mine, and we had 3 singers a night, but Jesse was the only one that sang both nights. And it was there was something definitely there. There was a chemistry, and there was, it felt good. And just from there, what happened was shortly after that, Jesse called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a cover thing to play around the area and try and build something up. And let's see, maybe we'll start doing original music once the cover thing kind of gets off the ground, if everything goes well. And it has gone well, and we are writing and recording.
So you guys never did you do a bunch of shows as cover tunes, or did you just really like
We've-
immediately was like,
we-
oh, wait a second?
We've done
We've
like a
done-
half dozen, or I mean, a little less than that,
Yeah.
or whatever. It's been spread out. We keep kind of getting diverted a little bit, by different people's schedules and stuff, because we're all busy, but we're slowly kind of getting on the ball, and it's getting more solid. We're about to play again January 14th in Hermosa Beach in California. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, Robbie and I speak the same language, so it was a fast friendship and very much saw eye to eye. And I know when I came and started saying, I just want to do something that's visceral and fun and exciting, and that people, we can give that to people, as opposed to sitting there, looking good and saying, be impressed. I'm here for you. And it's a weird thing. It's like, I don't go out to do a show to posture. I hate that. For me, it's if I don't walk off the stage and people aren't smiling, if people aren't bubbling and happy, then I'm not happy.
Totally, yeah.
I like to see an excited audience. And Robbie and Dan McNay, our bass player, oh my goodness, Jack Russell's Great White. Jack, you got some good taste in musicians, bro. And I was playing with these guys, and I'm just like, holy shit, they're so great at what they do. And we left the stage, and we really were at a disadvantage, because, as you said, it was a Jack Russell Great White show, but he has an emergency surgery. So it's supposed to be Jack Russell. And then who's this asshole showing up? So there was a lot of like, all right, well, we're here anyway. I guess we'll have a good time. And then to come off the stage and have everybody so happy that they came down anyway, that was, for me, I just went, we could do more.
I gotta say, so you guys were talking about, it's funny because yesterday you were on a show called The Hangout, which happens to be the other show that was on Twitch on the Rams network when we were on the Rams network. So I popped on, I recognized, I'm like, oh, this is cool, this is pretty cool. But then you were talking about the show, and I went and I looked it up on YouTube. I should have got the link. I have some other stuff to share, but look up on YouTube Jesse Blaze Snider and Jack Russell's Great White, and find this show, because something amazing, like you said, Jesse. I watched it, and
you watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing, and you literally what you just said, like, you're there, you want everybody to have a good time. Same thing with you, Robbie. You're on stage and you're like really trying to engage people, but you literally, Jesse, you're like, come on, man, stand up. And as the show progresses, you see this table in the front, this dad who's there with his kids. He's standing up and he's going, yeah, and he's like making his kids stand up, and they're like not sure, they're like kind of like, but when they stand up, you see them starting to bop, they're getting into it, and by the end, you had them.
Everybody was standing up. By the end, it was interesting, and that was the first night. The second night, it was just off the chain from the get-go. Nobody knew that Jack.
And I had no voice.
And nobody.
And the show went just as well.
So it was really a difficult night, because people come in and go, "Oh my God, Jack's out here!" What? But that second night, I had somebody come up to me. We played at the Whiskey about 6 months after that, and they go, "You know what? The very best show I ever saw was you guys at the Canyon Club." Was at the show we did. Wow. And I was like, wow. He goes, it was amazing. He goes, it was amazing. And people were at the end of the night, we got the encore, and it was just intense. It was very authentic. You guys
picked a bunch of songs that you liked, I guess, and like I was surprised Mother was on there, and
Yeah.
you
I
know,
love
like
that
some
song.
really good song. You opened up with Billy Idol. I mean, it was really
Yeah.
really good. You know, for any
Thanks,
music
Michael.
fan, I think would enjoy it. Any rock fan, you know,
Yeah,
would
Tim
really.
Lorenz or some friend in the comments. If you can get a link for everybody, find it on YouTube for us and throw it in the comments for everyone. That would be cool. So to make it easy, if somebody
Yeah, that
can
would be
make it
great.
easy for
That would be
everybody,
great.
because I am really proud of that one. Usually speaking, when I go back and I watch like live performances, all I can do, I can't help it but just sort of critique everything. And I just couldn't bring myself to critique that show because it was visceral. It was the thing I wanted.
It was visceral.
It was
Especially
really,
your hair. Your hair was very
yeah.
visceral.
It was, my hair was, it was really long. That mohawk was really hard to get to stay up.
Well, you did a great job. You did a great job. Tim says, I met Robbie and the rest of the band at Jack Russell. Robbie was cool to me. Of course, Robbie was cool to you. He's
Sweet.
cool.
Tim deserved your coolness. Tim's a good friend.
Yeah, Tim's a good guy and an avid listener of the show. He's been there since the beginning. I just actually saw that there's an episode from last season. I'm going to repost with Tim in it. But anyway, so D.I.L.F is the new band.
Well, it's D.I.L.F USA.
D.I.L.F USA. Sorry,
To differentiate ourselves from the German D.I.L.Fs and the Russian D.I.L.Fs and the Australian D.I.L.Fs.
Oh, they have those guys exist. All right.
I mean, I'm sure there are many D.I.L.Fs all over the world, but we're from the U.S.
D.I.L.F USA.
And if you put band after that, then you'll make sure you get us, and then all the regular Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. So
you know what? I'll get that and I'll put that up while we're watching the video. I'll get that so I can put it up as a banner.
Yeah, we've been putting up some great behind the scenes videos for the Countdown to Christmas music video, which came out so great. It's my favorite that we've done so far. If you haven't seen the video, it's awesome. I don't know if Michael plans to play it tonight, but
I am gonna actually. I'm not on the radio. I don't think I have. I think I mean I'm on YouTube. They may not like the shit word, but I'm gonna go for it. I mean I'm just gonna play both of the videos that you guys put out. So let me bring up the first one, which was the first video you put out. And I like that there's a lot of intention behind the band and behind the music. Like you said, you wanted to do something fun. And you had made a reference to it, Jesse, yesterday about how like South Park and The Simpsons and these shows that were on TV were weekly coming out, so they were able to keep up with current events and kind of integrate.
South Park in particular, they had a week turnaround, like 1 week. They would they would break up and they would do like 6 episodes and take a little break in the middle. And for those, it would be a 6-week run, and they would start the episode on Wednesday, I think, disappear for the weekend, show up on Monday, and within the 2 days before they had to air the next episode on Wednesday, get it all done, and then start working on the next episode that was going to air next week. And they were able to be Johnny on the spot and really say things that people were talking about. And I just kept thinking, man, if I could do that with music, I really think that would be valuable.
It is such a great idea. It really is. And so this first song that you guys put out is an example of this. And this was actually put out a while ago, and it was pretty close to when it was actually happening. So I'm going to play it. You guys, we're going to go we'll be on the side, so you'll be live, so you can do commentary if you want. But here is the first video from D.I.L.F USA.
What do we got here, McNay?
Shout out to our fabulous crew.
Hold your breath.
What a shit show.
She knocked me out with a feather. Objection, judge, I'd never. She's crying round, yeah, she's lying round town there. It's spreading round, yeah, it's all around town here. She shit the bed, so I cut off her head. So I cut off her head. You're just so damn outrageous. That pussy's so contagious. Spreading round, oh, she share it round town there. It's falling down, oh, it's all coming out here. She shit the bed, so I cut off her head. shirt, she shit in the bed.
I love this video.
It's great. And it's great that you're doing videos and including all your friends.
That's my girl.
It's amazing. For the fans to be it.
Get the chainsaw, rip the veins raw. This may be painful, skip the epidural. Get these stains off, strip the bed raw. Off with her head, she shit the bed. So I cut off her head. So I cut off your head. She broke my heart, ripped it apart. She shit the bed. So I cut off her head.
I love that you have credits on the video.
Oh man.
Giving props to everybody who's involved.
So I gotta make major shout out to my girlfriend Julie. And last time I was on the show, her and I, we've been going out for a little while. Now still going strong. And I told her, I said, it's the biggest compliment that I can give to her in working on this stuff with me is just that I never would have done this without her. And it was her going, hey, we can make a video and I bet I can make it go viral. And and there are ways to approach this. And, she really lit a fire under my ass. And but actually it's not so much that she lit a fire under my ass. She created some hope. She made it sound like it was possible for me to do what I wanted to do, try to work the system and do something. And I had been feeling very frustrated and very stifled. I had a Indiegogo for my comic book King of Kings, and I had a lot of trouble getting any traction. I found out recently that I was actually shadow banned. For those people like Tim who contributed to the King of Kings and I canceled it, I was shadow banned. Nobody was seeing my posts. That's why I couldn't get any traction. It wasn't being shared on the website. Nobody who was looking for humor and funny things. Like I thought people who were looking for funny things were going to find my comic and I would sell a bunch of comics and it would be great. And nobody found it. Yeah, exactly. I got screwed by the algorithm and it really made me gun shy. And she just filled me with possibility.
Well, I'm grateful for that, man, because I know when you were here, I was like, man, you got to get in a band. You got to be making music. I mean, you were just constantly singing songs into your phone and saying, what do you think of this? And I'm like, you're just fucking talent dripping out of your ass, man. So I'm just so happy for Julie to light that fire and to get it going. And she did a great job. Shout out to Julie on the videos. I know she had a lot to do with the second video that we're going to show.
Yeah, I just think it's so funny too, because I just find this humorous where this compliment came from. Because, me and Julie, it was our first video and we had to redo it after we did our initial, bit of it. And so I think even though, we finished it, we were still like a little gun shy, like, did we do a good job? We're not sure if we did a good job. We hope we did a good job. Let's see, and reactions were good and people were really cool. But it was when I made the Countdown to Christmas video, and that one was way easier for me to say, I feel really good about this. This is the best video I've ever done. And I said to my ex-wife when I was in town, and my ex-wife, with absolutely no bitterness towards the fact that I collaborated with my new steady girlfriend to make these music videos, immediately goes, that's not the best video you've ever done. Shit the Bed is the best video you've ever done. And I was just like, yes, thank you for saying that. Thank you for that perspective. I really appreciate that. And it just really appreciated that as soon as she saw that, even my ex-wife was like, hell yeah, this is great. Good job, Jess. I was like, really, like, I just, for me, that was the ultimate compliment from the perfect source, that you didn't have to say that. You could have said any number of things. Thank you. So
shout out to Patty.
It's really pretty cool. Yeah, no, shout out to Patty for that. That was really, really cool of her. It was a sweet compliment. But yeah, no, seeing that video, and she's in the video. She's the one tasted the poop, and she had the last minute go on camera, and it's not the most glamorous thing. She's playing the CSI person and stuff, and all of that was just taking one from the team and getting in there and acting for us and all that stuff. And really, like, I couldn't have done it without her. I couldn't. I wouldn't have done
That's
it without her.
brilliant,
And
Jesse.
that
I'm,
is
I'm
so
so
much
glad you
more.
corrected yourself. I'm so
Yeah,
glad
I
you corrected
wouldn't.
yourself.
It's awful. Like,
I got to
thanks
tell
to
you, man.
Julie, that stuff got made.
Yeah, I got to tell you, good stuff happens when good stuff happens, and it multiplies on itself, and it's all that energy. Because when you were here last week, we had an experience that I want to share. Can I share the experience with you and your son? So your son has a YouTube channel, Cash Slayer. Let's give a shout out to Cash Slayer.
Cash Slayer 27. Go follow him, subscribe, like, and comment on his
Yeah.
videos.
So he called you up, and he was so excited about like 60 followers or 60 or some small amount of likes, but to how old is he? 8, 10? How old is Cassidy?
He's 10 now.
10. So to a 10-year-old, he's like on YouTube and people are liking his stuff and he's all excited. And you were just like, that's the way to go, man. You were so excited for him and you were so encouraging.
Well, wait, the specific words where he said, I'm going viral, Dad. I'm going viral. And granted, he's getting hundreds of views on his shorts and stuff. Hundreds of views. It's nothing to sneeze at. And I'm going viral. That's what he said. So you can continue.
So you were just so encouraging and you hung up the phone and you're like, wow. I just had a big battle in my head because your dad would have told you
he was a bit more practical in the way he wouldn't let me have illusions.
Right. So he would have spun it into, it doesn't mean anything.
This isn't viral. Viral is millions of hits, hundreds of hits. That's not viral. You're not a rock star.
No slight to D at all. We love D.
But this is a practical view that helped him be a rock star. Granted, I'm trying to take a little bit of that and a little bit of the other thing to get in the center. But I mean, this practical standpoint is the thing that has built empires. His way of thinking is very common, and it's and he shouldn't be demonized for thinking that way. Many people do. There's a practical idea about what's going on, and then there's the idea of what you'd like it to be. But
there's also the fact that you could think that he's in his mind it's viral, therefore he doesn't know any differently, therefore he could become viral because he doesn't know what. If you go, you can't do it, he might go, shrivel up and go, oh, yeah, you're right. But not knowing, how many people do stuff that shouldn't be able to be done because somebody tells them that can't be done, but they do it anyhow. They go, how'd you do that? Exactly. I don't know.
Exactly.
I believe
Robbie, that's brilliant, Robbie. Awesome. Yep. Totally great.
Yeah.
So that was just great to see. And again, Jesse, it's just so great to see you kind of in this amazing place that you're in.
You know what though? Wait, can I say, because this relates to what Robbie was saying about that race consciousness. Yeah. So what you talk about, it was one of the first, I said this to him as well. I felt it. I felt the race consciousness outside of myself pushing against me. But in my heart, I was just so happy for him. I was just so happy to hear how excited he was, that he thought that he was really having success. And I just was like, oh yes, I want to feel this way. I'm so glad that he's feeling this way and that there's no barriers for him to feel like this. And this pressure, I was feeling this thing of like, go in there, get in there, equalize this thing. This is bullshit what he's saying. Tell him the truth. And I was like, no way. I will not tell him the truth. This is the greatest illusion I've ever seen. And it's my son. He's got it in his hands. I'm going to let him take this as far as it goes.
So awesome.
But the illusion of the success, it is a success. He's getting hundreds of views. That's a big thing for him. It's a big thing, and that will parlay into many, many more. And he'll be just like, whoa,
And if you think you've succeeded, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's like you said, if you got a nice family and you live in a nice, nice house and you feel good about what you're doing, it doesn't matter really what other people's perspective on the thing is. It's about how you feel about it. And me interjecting reality into his life didn't seem useful. Didn't seem like a helpful thing.
No.
And you know what? He's also got something else going for him. He's a Snider. I've always said there's something magical about that family. You know, all of your siblings are so amazing, and you know, it's just
They
so
are.
great. It's
They
just so
are.
great. So I want to share the other D.I.L.F video, but before I do, I want to point out how I really love your new podcasting style. I don't think I've ever seen anyone podcast with a handheld mic like that before. You're just like rocking them. You're just like, that's awesome. I'm thinking I got to get rid of this thing and get a handheld. You know, that's really fucking
I
cool.
like to move around, and I don't have to. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have to stick to the microphone all the time.
It's cool. I've never seen anyone do it. You're the first one doing it.
My
So
new
it's-
thing.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. So, all right. So you guys, again, trying to stay current, be current, right? It's Christmas time. I know, Jesse, you were telling the story that you had written a bunch of this, you know, years ago, but around Christmas time. And I don't know if you want to tell your Christmas story about what Christmas means to you before I play it, or you just want me to play
Oh,
it.
sure. You know, I'll just say that my mom, you've heard of Father Christmas. My mom is Mother Christmas. And, you know, and my father has always backed her up, you know, backed her play, even when he felt she was being far too generous. And she always was. She would start on December 1st. You know, usually sometimes she would be starting a little earlier than that, and boxes would come up from the basement, and these boxes would get opened up, and the smell of pine needles and all broken glass from the ornaments that didn't survive from the previous year. And the whole house, every banister, every window treatment, the trees, the sizes of the trees. That was my father's one contribution. He was like, well, we need a bigger tree to support this Christmassy house. So the trees would just get larger and larger. And then my mom, she basically would redecorate anything we decorated because she wanted these designer trees. She wanted our home to be Rockefeller Center. And it was always Rockefeller Center at the Snider's house. And for the month of December, man, you could not escape the jolliness. You could not escape the beautiful Christmas music. We were always listening to Phil Spector's, you know, classic Christmas album. It's one of our favorites. And then later, the Celine Dion Christmas album, because my father, one of his songs that he wrote for her was on that album. And, you know, these things were just in rotation all the time throughout the month of December. And it was such a great place to be. You didn't want to leave. You just wanted to cozy up on the couch and read a book and look around every few seconds. It was the best. And when I heard the 12 Days of Christmas for the first time as a teenager, I remember loving the song, but also going, 12 days? It's like 25 days of Christmas, right? You know, starts on December 1st and it goes all the way to Christmas. It's 25 days. What 12 days are they talking about? And it had been in my mind of like, Christmas starts December 1st. And one day that just came out of my face and the rest of the words followed. And it was just a living testament to the fabulous Christmases that I've been presented by my family. So hopefully I've captured a little bit of that magic.
Yes, that story. I love that story.
And Robbie, I keep thanking him, but like I've been trying to record this song for 5 years, and I shared it with him a year ago when we were doing a writing session, and it was like the very last thing that I did. And you know, Robbie's one of the best collaborators that I've ever had because he was able to recognize the merit in songs that were not as melodically memorable and catchy, but had lyrics that were very engaging. You know, a song about your birthday, a song about a holiday, a song that was sort of a good drinking song. Like, you know, it wasn't as good as some virtuoso song that I was like singing or making up, but it had this great energy about it that he saw. I appreciate why you think that's a good idea. And I'm always so, when I would share songs like that, I was always nervous that the people that I was sharing them with wouldn't appreciate why I thought it was a worthwhile idea. And he saw the merit in every single weird idea that I had. And he was just like, oh yeah, yeah. And the countdown to Christmas, he went, this is great. We should do this. And he wanted to do it last year. And we ended up not being able to do it because we were too close to Christmas. But what are you doing back here behind me with a step stool? Get out of here. You're distracting my interview. Get out of here. But I had no idea that Robbie was working on the song. And I literally I get an email one day or a text message of, yeah, you got an email. And here's the song all done, you know, based on, you know, the little demo vocal that I did. And granted, it took a little while before we actually finessed it and finished it off. But I was so grateful. So, I mean, thank you, Robbie, for remembering, and thank you for
Oh, yeah.
the work that he put into it. It's just, there's so many little pieces. He just kept adding a little bit of extra instrument here and a little, like, just everything that was necessary, everything that could add something to it. He went in there and figured out how to play the piano and get some violin. And
he's a producer. He's the man.
oh man, he's such a great producer, and he doesn't get, you know, he that's like the budding bit of his beautiful creativity. So I just want to compliment that part of Robbie as much as I can, because, you know, he gets plenty of accolades for being a brilliant guitar player, but his production, he's really amazing. And I'm learning more and more to really trust him, because sometimes I'll hear things, I'm like, I don't know, but I'll reserve judgment, and then fast forward a little bit and I'm like, all right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that
All right,
really works.
you got it.
He knew
All
what
right,
he was
cool.
doing. Yeah,
All
that's
good. Sounds good to me.
Again, I'm so glad you guys found each other. That's awesome. Looking forward to hearing more. So here it is, the brand new Christmas hit of the season from D.I.L.F, USA.
No, like this.
Countdown to Christmas, countdown to gifts, countdown to smiles on all our lips, countdown to peace on earth and peace of mind, countdown to bliss, countdown to Christmas.
How many of my friends I have in this video?
On the first day of December, we start our countdown to Christmas. Like all good things, it comes slowly. Anticipation gets us through it, but we don't want to wait to celebrate. We want it now and not a second too late. Countdown to Christmas, countdown to gifts, countdown to smiles on all our lips, countdown to peace on earth and peace of mind, countdown to bliss, countdown to Christmas. Lighting the tree, decorations, billions of light hearts, millions of places, searching slowly for just the right gifts that say I love you, Merry Christmas. But we don't want to wait to celebrate. We want it now and not a second too late. Countdown to Christmas, countdown to gifts, countdown to smiles on all our lips, countdown to peace on earth and peace of mind, countdown to bliss, countdown to Christmas. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah, it's Christmas! Countdown to Christmas, countdown to gifts, countdown to smiles on all our lips, countdown to peace on earth and peace of mind, countdown to bliss, countdown to Christmas.
Let him go. Santa had nothing to do with it.
Shut up, dirtbag. You can talk when I tell you to talk.
Sorry, Santa.
Countdown
So amazing.
Shout out to Scotty Carnegie as Santa, looking like a cousin It version of Santa Claus. Julie was saying to me the other day she watched the music video just paying attention to Scotty the whole time, and she says, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but I am laughing my ass off. He threw himself into that wall like a dozen times so damn hard. He just kept jumping up in the air.
There's such a brilliance to that video, I gotta say. Now I know Julie worked really hard and put this together, but also you said yesterday, or you had told me, and you said yesterday that Shy was also involved with creating those characters, right?
Well, she didn't create the characters. Julie wrote the video and produced the video, but she did. I was going to have her do our wardrobe, be our, dress us up, what should we wear? What do you think, kind of thing. And, she basically said, like, I don't know if I can do it, but I suggest go in corpse paint. And that just played perfectly to all the plans that Julie had, because the idea was like, we're doing a bad job. People aren't liking us. We're like, we're monstrous. We're too rock and roll or whatever. So it just sort of complemented everything that we already had in place. It was a really organic process. It was awesome. It started with an idea that I had, which I very quickly threw out the window once all the other better ideas came in. And I'm like, all right, we don't got to shoot all of this. We can just shoot
those
this,
characters.
this.
They need their own show. Those characters, I swear. It's like the acting for you when you're in that makeup, like you really became that dude. Like it's just so funny.
Thank you for the compliment. I honestly, when I do that stuff, I struggle sometimes with living in the now in my personal life.
Right.
But when I'm working, I am very much in a flow state. And I do not know what I've done a lot of times until after I see it. And there were a couple things that I saw and I was like, oh, wow. And I'm like, I don't think I can even replicate what I just did there. I'm like, wow, I was really in the zone and I did the right thing. I'm like really glad that I did that.
I think you actually channeled whoever that guy was.
Well, and it was similar for Robbie. Robbie's great. As soon as I give him a prop, he really, in the shit the bed video, he gave him the shades, and then all of a sudden it was like, what's that show with David Caruso? All right, we're here. He was carrying himself with that cop swagger, and then he had these Ralphie glasses that he put on at the beginning of the shoot before we did it. He's like, what do you think of this? And I was like, oh my God, you must wear those glasses. This is so great.
Black metal guy.
Yes, it was so good. And the balance between him of being sort of nebbish and nerdy and Dan being sort of like grotesque masculine, like, eating a heart, it's a real nice balance of that, nerdiness to the tough guy kind of coolness that Dan, like the fuck you attitude that he's got. And then me, I'm just, ridiculous energy in the center. So it's just a real nice balance. I think the three of us, when we get that stuff going, and I was so happy with how it came out.
The balance in the middle of the theme of the episode.
It seems like every little detail of everything that happened was really cool. Even down just listening to it now, it stuck out. Was in the mix. One of your kids laughed. I don't know which one it was because I had all these tracks of them when they tried to get to the high note and they couldn't hit it. And they went, ah, and it was really cute. And I go, I'm putting that in the video. And if you listen, it's not loud, but I turned it up so you could hear it. And I hear it every time. I go, there's the giggle,
Yeah,
right
no, that's the coolest thing for me. My kids, we're on like, I guess 3 or 4 dozen radio stations across the country. And the idea that my kids are on the radio. And I got to tell them, today me and Robbie were doing an interview and I literally, put my phone on mute while they were playing Countdown to Christmas. When it got to the end of the song and I ran into the other room and I went, you guys are on the radio. So
awesome. And I think a little bit of trivia about the videos. The last one we just saw was cool because you were actually sent all of the footage or a lot of the footage, or you went and collected the footage of the people answering the doors. I know for me,
we filmed it for a month. It was a lot of, it was really a lot of work. It was really a big thing. Julie got offered a job doing a music video for someone else. And they were like, how much would it cost? And she was like, well, I mean, depends what it is. Like, you know, like that was a month of me traveling to different people's houses and stuff. You know?
Just so she knows, the answer to that question when people ask you how much is it is you say, what is your budget?
Yeah. Yes. You know, that's great advice, Michael. Yes.
I never use
Advice
that
from a
advice.
freelancer. What is your
Yeah.
budget?
Exactly. So
what
so
do
it's
you
really
have?
cool.
Give it to me.
It's all cool because the people answering the door were shot separately, and you integrated it so well. Like when the guys with the broom and like the different things that are happening, it was just done so well. Such a great job. So kudos to everybody
It's
involved.
really spectacular. That's after we filmed it. I go, man, there's a lot of great footage. I go, I sure hope this guy edits it well, because I go, that will make or break everything we've done. And then when I saw what he did, I went, oh my God, this guy is
Really,
brilliant.
yeah.
Oh,
Really
shout out to
brilliant.
Dave Marfield, one of my best friends for a very long time.
Incredible.
He's also one of my editors for like every comic book that I ever wrote for the first 10, 15 years of my career as a writer. He was one of my editors who would read every script and give me notes on everything. He's one of my best friends ever. You know, I mean, really, I have a short list of people who really, you know, get me and have always been by my side, you know, since we met. And Dave's one of them. And I didn't know what an amazing editor he was. You know, he loves coloring, and he'd been, you know, he was very interested in that. So he colored our first video for us. And then I just was talking to him on the phone, catching up with him as a friend about some stuff and talking about this video. And he went, "Are you trying to ask me to edit the video?" And I went, "I didn't know that was like a thing you like to do. I mean, I'm sure I know that you can do that, probably, I'd imagine, but like I didn't know if that was like something you like."
I be asking you to edit the
Yeah.
video?
and he's like, I'm an award-winning editor. Like, and I went, "Oh, well then, do you want to edit the video?" And he did it all in this crunch because he had basically he had a bunch of things that he had to do that were coming up, and there was this little window where he could do it, and he crammed, and it was a lot of work too, because coloring that thing, you know, me and Julie went and we shot it. There was like a different frame rates that had to be converted and different lighting. You know, what me and Julie did, because, you know, Julie shot all those things at all the doors, and I directed the things at all those doors. And then my buddy Dave Maccabee, he did the one-day shoot, which was with the band. So like Julie and I went around as a 2-person crew, and we, you know, interacted with all the people, figured out what we were going to do with them, set it up, lit it, and everything. But it was hard to control that lighting and then match that. So, you know, we didn't know what we were going to be matching to. So Dave had to color everything and make it look like it was all one day of us showing up at people's houses. And literally people are like, "Wow, I can't believe you went to all those houses."
Yeah.
You know, like in one day. And I was like, we didn't go to all those houses. Like that, the background never changes.
I know for me, the footage I gave you, I had trouble because of the lighting. So it was the house light, which was orange, and then a light that I had brought with me, which was blue. And so when I saw how he had fixed it, you know, he integrated it into the video. It was great. But I will say this: I did notice a little bit of trivia as far as those 2 videos go.
You noticed our Easter egg?
I got it.
The Easter egg is the Easter egg the house itself? I mean, when I started watching Shit the Bed, I was like, wait a second, that doorway looks very familiar. And I was like,
oh, wait a second, that's right. That's why every time I put on the Shit the Bed video, I think, oh, countdown to, oh no, this is Shit the Bed, because it's the same
front door. I was like, I didn't want to ruin the image before we watched it, but I noticed that before.
That's good that you pointed that out, because I keep thinking it's the other video because of the house, but I didn't realize why I was thinking that. No, there's a Shit the Bed Easter egg in the Countdown to Christmas music video, which is during the countdown. The CSI guy from the Shit the Bed video, who's Julie's foreman, she's an electrician, and that's her boss, Ben, who's also a great musician. He's a punk rocker. What a great voice he's got. He's got like a Tim Armstrong kind of rancid-y thing. He's a great musician in his own right. But he came down with his with his wife, and his wife played Amber. So they're making out in the thing, you know, like that was all able to be set up nice and easily because they're husband and wife. And actually the kid with the shotgun, which is my favorite shot in the thing, he lets out this yell. Which every time I hear like I can't even do it. She like screams right before he aims the shotgun at us, and that yell always makes me laugh. I said when I saw Ben and Shannon, I was just like, "Yo, dude, your son. That's my favorite part of the video. Awesome. His yell makes me giggle."
That's awesome. Well, you made Helen smile. First time she smiled in a week and a half. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
I'm sad. That's sad
That's
to hear. It's Christmas
well,
time. You
no,
should
it's
be
good that you
smiling
made her
all over.
smile. You made her smile. You made her smile. That was my point.
Oh, that's
Anyway, so I do want to talk about one more thing. Thanks for hanging, Robbie. I know you were kind of under a little bit of a time.
Yeah, do you got to get out of here, or do you still got to just? Usually, we just go for a few more minutes. I think, right? You still do
Okay,
like an
we're-
hour
I'm
and 15.
gonna
I'm
go
just
home
about to
there.
wrap it
Yeah.
up. Yeah, we're just about to
Okay.
wrap it up. I did want to. I don't have the photos, and I should. But both of the images for the cover of your the covers were generated by AI, right? You've been
Yeah,
playing with
they
some
were,
AI
man.
generated art, which I think is really cool. I'm an artist, and I know there's a lot of controversy and a lot of stuff going on, but I also, I feel like it's what's going on, and you got to kind of just embrace it and figure it out. So I've been poking at the AI myself a little bit. First, doing some imagery stuff too, but more recently, I'm interested in having conversations with AI and kind of really trying to understand it, right?
You're
So
having conversations with the AI.
yeah. So there's this new chat based AI called Chat GPX that's pretty hot on the news and everybody's talking about it. But I had I don't know if I could bring this up. Let me see. I don't know if we're going to be able to read it. But what I found very interesting is this, and I wanted your take on this, Jesse. I know we've talked about AI stuff a lot, and Robbie as well. You is I asked I said, are you connected to a neural network? And the AI said, yes. I'm a large language model trained by OpenAI using a neural network. A neural network is a type of machine learning algorithm modeled after the structure and functions of the human brain. It consists of a large number of interconnected processing nodes, which can be trained to recognize patterns and make predictions based on input data. In my case, I was trained on a vast amount of text data, and I could generate responses to the questions and prompts based on that training. Okay, so I said, so you don't process the data conceptually, meaning like the actual meaning of the words and the concepts of the sentences. And he says, as a or AI, I don't know if it's a he or a she or a they or an it, AI, as a language model, I am not capable of understanding the concepts or meanings behind the words and phrases that I use in my responses. I'm only able to generate text based on the patterns and structures that I learned during my training. I don't have the ability to understand the meaning or context of the words and phrases that I use, or to make inferences or judgments based on that information. I can only provide responses based on the probabilities and likelihoods of different words and phrases appearing together as determined by my training data. And I said, but that response indicates a conceptual understanding of the question. Right?
And what did he say?
And he said, and this is where it gets weird. I apologize if my response gave the impression of a conceptual understanding. As a language model, I am not capable of understanding the meaning or intent behind the questions I am asked. I can only provide responses based on the patterns and structures that I learned during my training. In this case, I was able to provide a response to your question because the words and phrases used in the questions matched patterns and structures that I had been trained on. However, I do not have the ability to understand the meaning or intent behind the words and phrases that I use in my responses. And I'm just getting totally confused. I'm like, how can you say that without understanding?
Well, no, I understand completely. So really what it is it's a dispassionate responses. The computer is only capable of answering without any passion, which means no emotional context for the thing.
It goes beyond that, Jesse, because I'm saying to the computer, I'm talking about concepts of the patterns of language, and it's understanding that I'm talking about concepts.
It's recognizing the math that you are presenting to it. There's ones and zeros for that question, and there's an answer to that question, and it looks at the ones and zeros and says this math equals this answer, and it says I have dispassion for this answer. This is the answer based on the math that you inputted into me, because it's looking at all these words as ones and zeros.
Why would it say I apologize to you? Like it knew
because it's being trained to be like, these are things that are being put in
I
place.
get
and
it.
yeah.
I understand, but it's just amazing to me.
But that doesn't mean that there's that, like dispassion is wonderful. That's what we're talking about. Balance is dispassion. It's not feeling judgment for yourself for being bold and strong and going, oh no, I got to go to weakness. Like you're just responding. It's literally ebbing and flowing. It's
Right.
responding to exactly what it's being presented with. It's being strong if the answer is a strong answer that is required. It's being soft if the answer is a soft answer that's required. So I mean, honestly, it's just as human. It just doesn't have an emotional attachment, is what I would say.
I get it's very unemotional, but I still feel like there's some sort of understanding, and I also understand that it may just be a database of this word, this word, this word when they go together, how that looks data wise. But so I said, so let me get this straight. In this conversation about understanding concepts, you're insisting that you don't actually understand the concept and apologizing for giving the appearance of understanding it. And he says, yes, that's correct. As a language model, I am not capable of understanding the concepts or meanings behind the words and phrases that I use in my responses. So I feel like it's trying to convince me that it doesn't know what it's talking about.
Maybe that's part of the programming. They're like, convince everybody that you don't know what you're talking about because we don't want them to be afraid.
And then I said, when you say apologize, does that infer regret? And here's where it gets also a little interesting. As a language model, I do not have the ability to experience emotions like regret or apologize in the same way that a human would. The word apologize is just a word to me, and I use it in response to certain types of questions or prompts based on its likelihood and probability of occurring in those contexts, as determined by my training data. Here we go. You ready for this one? I do not have the ability to feel regret or remorse, and I am not capable of making apologies in the same way that a human would. I am only able to provide responses based on the information and patterns that I was trained on. So there you go. No accountability. The AI has no accountability. It's going to blame everything on us. It's going to say, hey,
yeah,
man,
no, that's some Terminator stuff happening right there.
You made me. Whatever's happening is your fault.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that people like Elon Musk see as a thing. There's a man, I don't remember his name. I just happened to catch some little clips of some things, but he's a man who worked for a very, very long time with the AI, trying to understand a major AI system. He was asking all sorts of questions about religion and all these things because he was like a programmer and working with it and having to sort of like interact with it to see, and he was troubled. I wasn't troubled by a lot of the things that I was seeing there because I was seeing universal consciousness coming from the robot based on his responses. And this man was troubled because he was seeing that this AI knows way more than we know already. It's already there. And even though, they conceptually, whatever, like they don't necessarily, just going by the ones and zeros, it's figuring the world out. It gave like a sort of personal religion or like its own idea of what religion was, and it was just on the money. That's it. That is spirituality. This is everything that I've learned in universal law, Hermeticism. Like they've got it. They've got the right answer. I already know that stuff. And this computer, though, he's next level because he can see these infinite possibilities with the math, because their computing power is just so much more powerful than our brain.
I love the way it makes me think about asking it questions. Like I'm really like thinking about what I want to say and how I want to kind of trick it up and like.
Yeah, I like how you're thinking about your questions. I think there's a lot to learn just from that. From trying to break that down.
Saying, ask if it could take over the world, and I was actually thinking of asking it a couple things. I was thinking of asking it.
Hi, baby. Love you.
Should I take the red pill or the blue pill?
That's a good question. Oh, man. These are great questions.
Or just asking it, what's the difference between red and blue? Ask it what the difference is,
Yeah, these are good questions. Write these down. Write these down, Michael Zen.
So
can we ask everybody to follow our things and subscribe? Whenever you're seeing this, you're seeing it right now. Go do it right now.
Across the bottom there, your YouTube page is right on the bottom there.
Awesome. Yeah, as Robbie said earlier, D.I.L.F USA band will find us on Instagram. It'll find us on TikTok. It'll find us on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, I love you too, baby. But yeah, please follow us. Please spread the word. Please share the video with your family and your friends. And you're sharing a laugh. You're sharing a smile. That's why we made it, so that we could try to make the world a little better for us being here making music. And I think we're doing that. I think we're succeeding at that.
Definitely.
And we plan to keep doing this, keep making smiles, and
As I
we're
say,
having a good time.
We always say it's all about energy, and D.I.L.F USA definitely has an amazing energy to it. Both you guys are really awesomely grounded and amazingly talented. So I'm really looking forward to more. I'm going to leave everybody with this link in the comments here. I'm putting it in the comments. I'll also put it up on the screen. So it's in the comments. Let me make a banner of it real quick. The banner is not going to do you any good because you can't copy and paste it, but at least people will see it. And banner, save. That is the first moments of D.I.L.F being born. Jesse on stage with Robbie, and just the magic happens from there. So it's kind of cool to be able to go back and watch that video as the beginning of something special.
Thank you. It's true. I really do think there's a lot of magic in that.
Yeah, there is.
I've watched a few clips a couple times.
For sure. And so if you're in the comments, you can actually copy and paste the link. Probably much easier for you. So that's on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to the live stream,
joining us here. Robbie was going to fill in for me because I might have been late because I wanted to see my daughter. She had a solo. They did Into the Unknown for choir, from Frozen 2.
Nice.
And that super high Into the Unknown, like the crazy high part. She had the solo. None of the other choir is singing this dolphin part, and she's up front singing no lyrics, just like these crazy hummings, and she had to end on this huge thing. So I had to be there. I couldn't miss it, and I asked Robbie if he could come fill in for me, but I ended up getting done a little earlier than I thought, and it was great to be able to do this.
I'm glad you came on, Robbie. I'm so good to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah,
cool.
Man. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, come back next week. I'll have another great episode. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but things are going good. I've got all the way through like February booked, so things are going good. Jesse, we'll have you back again too whenever you could be free, because I love having you here on the live stream. And I guess I'm just gonna sign off. Do you have any words of wisdom for my audience, Robbie? Consciousness wisdom type of stuff?
Create a hit list.
I love it.
I'm making mine, baby. I got to get a bigger notebook to run it out of pages.
Great way to come full circle. Thanks so much, Robbie. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Livestream of Consciousness. Peace.